Oh, Wes, welcome aboard. Almost. Welcome aboard. Mr. Blodgett's here. Welcome aboard. Happy Sunday. We're waiting for the YouTube to light up. And we appear to be live on YouTube. Okay. Oh, I got to kill the sound or we'll be very confused. As if I'm not already very confused. How is everybody today? Let's see. I want to get one comment. Oh, there he is. Mr. Blodgett is eating Jell-O. Outstanding. Okay, I'm going to move this window over there. My life is moving windows around.
Excuse me. I'm here from the OSHIT administration. I'm here about a violation of existential defenestration, laser sharks, PFG. Could I get your name and number somewhere?
Yeah. There's a guy over there that's going to help you, right over there. The guy in the blue hat. Yeah, guy. Yeah, he'll help you.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna. You have some outstanding fines you have to pay.
You know, I don't get paid enough for this. This is the Gremlin.
Hello.
The resident artist responsible for things.
Short stack.
Wow.
Look, I recognize that I got one half of the jeans on the height spectrum, and it was not his.
Listen, I didn't even wear out those jeans, okay? They're not as bad as the jeans I'm wearing, so knock it off. Nobody knows what's happening here.
Chaos is happening here.
It's basically chaos.
You.
This is my offspring. Oh, we got the
offspring number 1, version 1.0.
1.0, in from the college.
In from Boston.
The university.
Shana Tova. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you and yours.
Ta-da. All right, I'm gonna leave you to it.
Okay, thanks.
I'll chase off the OSHIT inspector.
The OSHIT. We had the OSHIT Inspector. Listen, if you were showing up here for like machining information, Mr. Blodgett says he approves of the defenestration. Yep, it's true. Welcome aboard. We got a lot of the usuals are here. Mr. Sanchez is like wondering if he should be leaving right now. I wouldn't blame you. I could not blame you for seeking the door. Silos, welcome aboard. So Silos, you get a special award this morning for jumping in to defend the PFG Stones from the evil Dan who is questioning, mind you, their appropriate use on a spindle taper, but it's all good. We're going to talk about that today. This is, if you're just tuning in, this is the PFG Live for Sunday, September 25th. And this is legal. Thank you, sir. Mr. Greener, welcome aboard. Parsi Tools, welcome aboard. I think you're a new name, and I think you have a cool logo, but I can't quite see it. Unipile, best name ever, welcome aboard. Hi, Brian. Brian, oh, are you in 2 places at once? So, I didn't plan anything huge this morning, but we do have some topics and some things to go over. I also, you might hear in the background some grinding, which just stopped. So you may have been able to tell this morning from my posts that I am making progress on my laps, the big round laps that I'm making. So the last we visited our laps, I don't want to lapse into that, but the last we saw our laps, they came off the lathe and they were ready for the next step. So today they get the next step. I hung the Norton 5SG wheel on the grinder. And Masood, welcome aboard. And I'm grinding them in basically, so, purely so they're parallel and flat. So we have 3 ductile cast iron 6-inch by 1.25 laps that we're making. Definitely great. Welcome aboard. Let's see. So on YouTube right now we have Kevin, Almost, and Brian. Welcome aboard. So my goal on the laps is to are these steel for diamonds. The laps are cast iron. Oh, for diamond lapping. So they're cast iron. And they are going to get a pattern. Hey, Wes, on YouTube. And Backwoods Boy Small Engines. Welcome on YouTube. MVO Engineering, maybe? Welcome aboard. So they're getting a crosshatch put in them. And I am trying to do what Mr. Robin Renzetti recommended. He likes 60-degree grooves, and I'm going to make 60-degree grooves. So if you were watching, well, I'm glad I guessed that correctly. If you were watching earlier, you saw me pull out a piece of carbide, and after I'm done flattening my laps on the grinder, I'm going to set them aside, and then I'm going to make my 60-degree cutter for the mill. So right now, I think I'm going to make a D-bit grinder. A D-bit grinder. Listen to me. A D-bit tool. A D-bit milling tool. So what the plan is to take that little piece of carbide, put a 60-degree nose on it, but it's going to have a little offset. Well, actually, let me back up. It gets ground to half its diameter. And then after that's done, we put the rotary jig up 60 degrees, and we will then put the 60-degree nose on it with a little bit of offset for the clearance. And that's basically the plan. So I should have a decent cutter. And then we're going to try it out. We'll go on the mill, and we'll program up a decent grid and go to town. So let me grab one of those laps. I'll show you exactly what I'm working on. So I could have just barely fit all 3 of these on the grinder table, but I decided not to push it. So there's 2 of them on the table. When those guys are done, we'll do the 3rd one. But basically, it's a piece of ductile cast iron. It's been turned on the lathe, so it's been faced. The edges have been turned, and it's gotten some identification grooves. Oh, hey, thanks, Backwoods. I appreciate it. He says he's new to the channel and live streams, and the content is interesting. Thank you, bud. Hang around. It gets weirder. I'm trying to pronounce your name. I'll just call you Jaro. Welcome aboard. So, made 3 of these guys. One of them has 1 groove. One of them has 2 grooves. And this one has 3 grooves. So, we've identified the 3. And now, the next thing that's happening right now is we're grinding the top and bottom just for parallelism. Except, of course, I'm having too much fun. So, I'm getting a nice finish on them for no reason at all. Just because I'm having a good time. And then, once they're nice and parallel, and I'm also going to have the advantage of making them the same thickness, which they are. One of them is a couple of thousandths different. When I'm all done, they'll be as close to 0.0 as I can get it. And then we're going to go over to the CNC mill and do our grooving. So it should be fun. And then there's no more excuses. We get to lapping. and that also will be a good time. So we are going to do the 3-plate method on these particular laps, just because I've never done it before, and we're going to do it. And then they go into the use pile, so we will start using them and having some fun. That project has been going a little slowly because there's so many other projects right now, and also I know this is weird, I have to make a living. So hey, Laney Machine, welcome aboard, sir. Nice to see you, Adam. Adam's having a great time with his new Kern. I've been watching your stuff. Henry says he'd like to do that himself. I think you're talking about the 3-plate method. Yes. Chris is remembering that time back in the 80s when we played in the same band, the 3-plate method. That was a good band. Do you have optical flats large enough to check the plates? So that's an interesting question. I have a 6-inch flat, which is currently a mirror. So it's not exactly the right tool, but I also have some 3-inch, I think 3-inch flats. Oh no, I just got a 4-inch. I do have a 4-inch flat, so I can get pretty good. What's up, dog? You missed the opening today, Adam. You'll have to go back and watch the video. Avery, welcome aboard on YouTube. Good morning. So that's a story. A little progress on my laps, and I'm looking forward to a relapse. Sorry. Yeah. So these were right from McMaster Car. In fact, I think they were inch and a, well, I know, Henry, you're far away from McMaster Car. I'm sorry, but these are right out of McMaster Car. So it was 6-inch by 1 1/4, I think. And they came in, and I just started messing with them. So there's been very little stock removal. I got my diamond paste recently. I got a couple of things. I got some diamond slurry, 8 micron, and I also got diamond paste. I'll show it to you. So the diamond paste that I bought, I'm going to call you Chris, because welcome aboard. So this is what I got. It is Hyperion, is the company, and I got it from McMaster Car. They're in Worthington, Ohio, and I've got got 3 different grades. I'm looking for the numbers here. SJK5. Oh, that must be it. 2 to 4 microns, 4 to 8 microns, and 0 to 2 microns. So basically coarse, medium, and fine. Oh, so Adam, Laney Machine Tech, gives the stamp of approval to the McMaster supplied paste. So I guess, is it the same company that you used, Adam? Hyperion? So this is the story. These come in, they're in hypodermic needles, hypodermic tubes, and you don't need much. So that's what I'm going to be using. So there you go. That should be fun. I'm going to have a good time. Adam, I may be calling you for some advice, but we'll see when we get there. Meanwhile, I can actually bring over one of the ground surfaces. If you guys want to see it, you let me know, because I don't want to keep running around in here. You don't need to see me running around the shop, but if you really want to see how the grinding came out, let me know and I'll grab them. So Adam says he's moving away from diamond for many applications. He thinks he's been overusing it. Well, let's talk about that. I know some of the Silos brings up silicon carbide. I do have plenty of, I have silicon carbide in grease pastes to play with. I don't have any of the... Oh, you know what else I have? In the basement, I have a very large container. Hey, Paul. Welcome aboard. I have a very large container of aluminum oxide. I'm trying to remember the grit. 1200 grit, which I think is 5 microns. So I have some very fine aluminum oxide. Diamond paste, the girl's best friend. Isn't diamond paste a contradiction in terms? I thought it's either diamond or it's paste. Anyway, we'll have some fun. But first I have to do the Tom Lipton, and I have to get the apron and stand there and do my 3 plates and see how that goes. It should be a good time. But yes, then I'll go upstairs with them and put them on the optical flats, or put the optical flats on them and see how we did. We have a question that just popped in. Oh, this is a good one. So Tuck Garage asks, how do you store your diamonds? Any tips? So I assume you mean the diamond paste. Is that what you're asking, or do you mean other? So let's get a clarification on that from you, and we'll answer your question. Laney Machine Tech says silicon carbide is great. It cuts fast. It breaks down. It doesn't embed. Diamond is unforgiving. That's interesting. So you might be able to convince me to go with silicon carbide for this mission, but we'll see. So the paste, as you could see, I just leave it at room temperature, but capped. The slurry is a slurry. You don't have to do anything special with it. So I don't think there's any magic to storing it. So Adam says, diamond is great when it's charged into a non-wearing lap, but it's not great when you're trying to get both surfaces to wear. Okay. Well, we'll figure this out when we get there. He says, but Robin would say he's just doing it wrong. Hey, listen, I'm not getting in between the two of you. That's for sure. We'll try something. What's the worst can happen? It comes out lousy, and we push the eraser, the button on the eraser back there, and we start over again. I'm not worried about it. Harry Stevens, welcome aboard. So that's what's happening here this morning. Nobody said they want to see the results of my grinding, so we'll leave it on the grinder, and I'll finish after the live. Other news in the shop is we got a Pearson mini pallet system, also known as the MPS. Hey, Posh Bernie has joined. Welcome aboard. So the pallets are pretty cool. It's they're 6 inches by 10 inches by let's see, about an inch and a quarter, thereabouts. And this is what the attachment system looks like. There's a pressed-in sleeve, hardened sleeve, and a pressed-in hardened sleeve, and each of them have a split ring, keeping them in. But they don't. I don't think they're moving. I don't think they're going anywhere. And then the center, which is the hold down, is pretty nice. It's screwed in. It's got a hardened steel groove, and this whole thing is screwed into the aluminum. Now, I read in the Pearson, and a little plug here. There's the logo. All right. So I read in the Pearson write-up on their site that these threads have to be thread milled to meet their accuracy requirements. So you can buy a kit of all these little bits and pieces and do it yourself. But they insist that this be thread milled, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, this is $93, I think, and ready to go. So I think it's a good deal. Hey, Cruise Manufacturing, welcome aboard. So the other thing that's really cool about this, and if you look at it super close, you could tell that the main boss and the two locator pins are offset from each other by 1/8 of an inch. So you can't put this on the wrong way. I discovered that because I was trying to put this on the wrong way, and I figured it out. But that's pretty nice. So I just ordered 3 more of these. Once I got the system installed in the mill, and I was very pleased with how everything was working, I said, okay, I'll get 3 more. Of course, I didn't get my IMTS discount on the 3 that I ordered, but that's okay. So this will become the home for some projects that are coming up. I have some parts that are, matchbook size, and I think we're going to be making them on pallets. Henry says, I need a pallet system for my CNC mill too, but I haven't found the right system. Most systems that are available in Germany are way too expensive. Well, I don't have a lot of miles on my system yet, but you should look into it. Head over to Pearson Work Holding and check it out. So this is called the mini pallet system. They've got 2 sizes of pallets. This is the small one. It's 6 by 10, and the big one is 8 by 14. Then they have, of course, you can make a custom one too. Okay, Henry, cool. The Pro pallet system is bigger and can handle pallets that are bigger. I'm actually pretty happy I went with this size, and I think the little guy, this one, is going to be just right. So refer to the post I just did, and you'll see that it's mounted on the far left of my table, and it's going to live there. And then I still have one Kurt vise on the right side of the table. So far this is looking pretty good. And if I got into a situation where I was doing some serious production, I would just plop a second one right next to it. I think that's how things would go. But right now, having one of them is going to be just amazing. So that's the new shop news, at least in the milling department, and I'm very pleased about that. So I will continue posting about the Pearson pallets as I use them. Kevin Blodgett says, when does the Aroa get here? I don't think we're getting an Aroa. What mill do I have? I have a Sharp 24 by 12 CNC. It's called an SV 2412S. It's 16 tools in an umbrella changer, 10,000 RPM, 10 horsepower, and it's been a great machine. I bought it new in 2009. And it's been awesome. Do I have a vacuum table? So I actually have a vacuum table. Yeah, Tuck Garage says the Aroa comes with the Kern machine. That's probably when they come into the shop. Yeah, I would love to have a Kern machine. Let's see, I'm going to show you something. Here it is. So I only have, actually there's 2 vacuum tables in the shop, one that gets used and one that I haven't even used yet. The one that gets used is this little guy, which was built by me. This is a 6 by 6 vacuum table, and it's got holes on the perimeter for putting down, fences and such. But that's about 1,000 1 millimeter, I think they're 1 millimeter holes. And then on the back, there's a plate that covers up the chamber, and then there's a connection for a, I guess you call this one a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's called a 1/4 inch, airline. So this is 6 by 6 inches. This is designed to drop into a vise, or it could be held down on a table. Of course, the airline coming out the bottom is a limiting factor, but originally it was meant for the vise. And this thing has done a lot of work. This thing has paid for itself a dozen times over. And yeah, and it's recently been cleaned and stoned and ready for the next job. The other thing that's interesting about this plate is that this material is 2024 aluminum. I love 2024 aluminum. It just does an awesome job. It threads beautifully. It machines beautifully. It is terrific. Look at that. It's pretty amazing. And of course, this is just a plate of 6061 to cover up the bottom. And there's a little bit of vacuum grease around the edge, and that's it. Super simple. Really has earned its money. So that was a long answer to a short question. Do I have a vacuum table? So I also have a vacuum table that's pretty large. If I had to guess, I'd say it's 14 by 28-ish, maybe, or 14 by 24, 12 by 24, that I've had for a long time, that came in a pile of stuff that I bought, and I've never used it. And it has the big 1-inch square grid that you put the gasketing into. Unconformable Coatings, welcome. I love that name. What is it connected to? A vacuum pump? Let's talk about the vacuum pump. Okay, so I'm actually looking at it. I have a vacuum pump. There's a vacuum pump that you see. It's a motor plus vacuum pump with a handle on it, and that's generally aimed at sort of the air conditioning service market. And I learned something because I started with that vacuum pump, and I also have a little tank. So I went vacuum pump, a little tank, and then some valving, 2 valves, so that I can pull a vacuum on the table and I can release the vacuum on the table. So that worked pretty well, but I was hot and heavy into a project. Unfortunately, I can't put my hands on it quickly. And I overheated the vacuum pump because it was doing a lot of work. And those pumps are not made to handle a high volume of air. They're meant to make a good vacuum, but not to move a lot of air. And it overheats, and then when it overheats, it burps up oil into places you don't want the oil oil to go, and it's the wrong tool for the job. So if you look at well, I'll give you the punchline at the end, but the other vacuum table that I had came with a vacuum generator. And a vacuum generator is basically a venturi that you would blow compressed air through, and it goes through the venturi and it starts pulling air from another port, and that's what generates your vacuum. And at first glance, it would appear that this is a inefficient way to do it because you're using hey, Ukraine is here. Alexenko, welcome aboard. Nice to see you. Good question, Henry. Stand by. So the Venturi method, that's what you're talking about. Okay. So the Venturi method of generating a vacuum appears to be inefficient. So that's why I didn't use the box that I got with that other vacuum plate. But when I kind of screwed up my vacuum pump, my oil-filled vacuum pump, I went right to that. It was a quick fix, and it was actually really nice. It was not as noisy as I feared. It was actually pretty reasonable, and it didn't use as much air as I feared. So all in all, what seemed to be a bad choice turned out to be a pretty good choice. Plus, you're not wearing anything out. You're not using anything in a regime that is not designed to be used. And it turned out to be the right thing. Very not obvious. Now, Pearson Work Holding, I'm going to pick on I'm going to pick on them. They sell a vacuum plate system. In fact, they sell a vacuum plate that you could use on the mini pallets. And what do they use? They use the Venturi. They have their own vacuum generator. And now I understand why. So it makes a lot of sense. So don't be put off by the presumed inefficiency or the presumed noisiness of the Venturi type vacuum generators. It's a pretty good idea. So I still have my other vacuum pump, and if I'm doing small stuff and I'm not doing production, etc., I might still use it. But if you have to get to a low vacuum, that's the tool. But if you have to be in a production environment with a vacuum table in a mill, the Venturi type is the right one. So that was a good question. And I might be able to grab it for show and tell, but it's not that important. Look on the Pearson site for their generator. Good question. So I'm pretty excited about the pallets, just to wrap up the whole pallet thing. Jay Pearson in one of his videos said something which, when I started thinking about it, I realized it was actually pretty brilliant. And that was, I'm glad I was able to help Vidcock. Don't be afraid of those things. They work. So here's what Jay said in one of his videos. He said, if you look at the area that a pallet takes up, and then you look at the area that a vise takes up, and you ask yourself what percentage of that area is doing useful work, it's a big difference. I kind of looked at my vise and I realized, wow, like maybe 10% of the vise is doing work. And I'm talking about when I'm doing small stuff. Maybe 10% of the vise is doing work. That's a big area. The advantage of the vise is it's a general purpose tool, and it's generally not tailored to one job, whereas a pallet is usually tailored to one job. Now, think about this. Once you have a pallet system, okay, not only can you start using mighty bites and doing multiple positions for making parts, but you can go ahead and you could make a pallet that looks like this, right? This is one of my my 6-inch threaded pallets that I made for various little projects, and it's hugely useful. But you could just have one of these on hot standby after you've drilled and tapped a whole bunch of holes in it. So, you're doing a custom production run. So you have a custom pallet, and it's got all your magic, mighty bites and whatever for your hold downs. And then you want to switch to some finicky little project. You throw in your pallet that has this on it. I'm getting more and more excited, and I'm very happy I bought it. So, there you go. Pallets. Can't get enough of them. So Wes, I think I answered your question on what kind of mill I have. I also have a Bridgeport, of course, but this whole discussion does not apply. Okay, so that's the pallet system. More information as I get more experience with it. Last week I said that I didn't forget the two guys with the broken stones that need stones, so I started putting some brain cells on it. I actually might have those ground for you tomorrow, and then we got to come up with a system where people can order, replacement broken stones. replacement stones, and I'll get something on the website for that. Don't worry, you two guys are covered, and we'll get that sorted. Okay. Oh, so this morning I'm changing. Actually, let me save that for last. A couple of weeks ago, I connected with one of our community. I don't have permission to use his name, so I'm not going to use his name. And he needed some help. Let me grab a piece of metal here. So I don't know if I talked about this, but this is a piece of titanium, and he needed it cut up into about 3/16 inch slices for the project that he's doing, and he has a very small saw and very small machines. And I said, oh, we could help. So I set up my horizontal bandsaw, and I started sawing this. Let's see, that's for Instagram. YouTube can already see it. There you go. I started sawing the titanium with the same blade I had on it for everything else. It was taking forever. Wasn't too satisfying. So I am seeking the advice of the community on sawing up the titanium. So far, the searching that I've done has said I should get a carbide tipped bandsaw blade for my horizontal bandsaw. And you know, you're going to be spending north of $100 to do that. Maybe as much as $200 for a carbide tipped bandsaw blade. So that's a possibility. Another possibility is to cut this on the lathe. Silos Garage says, advice, cry. Thanks. Wes, I think Wes has the ultimate answer. He says use a lightsaber. He's not wrong. So this is 2-inch stock. I have a cutoff tool. Yeah. Unipile, that's where we're heading. I was going to think about parting them on the lathe. So my lathe tool, I'll grab it. So this is the cutoff tool I have for the lathe, and it's not enough. In fact, it's good for about 0.6 inches, or a maximum diameter of about 1.2. Basically, it's a 1-inch cutoff tool. So Silos says, seriously though, parting has been the best solution. So the other idea is to get myself another Sandvik, same family, except get a longer one. I might do that, and that actually is going to end up costing more, but it'll get more use. I'll get more use out of it than the carbide tipped bandsaw blade. Tuck says braze a carbide tip onto a high-speed cutter. That might work. Yeah, I could, but frankly, my brazing foo is not there, and I think I'd rather just buy the cutter. So, thank you for the advice. Keep it coming. I'm interested. I'm going to check McMaster Carr later today to see about lightsabers. Nick says, I like the blade type parting tools that you can stick out as much as you want per the job. Yeah, usually they're high-speed steel, and I think high-speed steel and titanium are going to have a little bit of a discussion. Carbide slitting saw on the mill. While I believe that would work, I think it would be pretty hard to hold this thing to do that job. Maybe. Kevin says they sell lightsabers in the same complex as his shop. Saber Forge. Well, have him give me a call. Robin does not have a lightsaber. He just uses his mind. I've seen it. Oh, you're okay, so you're talking about insert. Okay, I know which ones you're talking about. You're talking about carbide insert blades. Another good idea. Okay. I'll have to look at it. If you have a favorite, you can DM me. Currently, I've bought into the Sandvik Coro cut. Let's see if I can show that. Focus. There we go. That's my system right now. Let's see if I can get... And if I can get one in that family, that would be good. This way I don't have to have a zillion kinds of inserts. Who'd have thought a silly little piece of metal would be schooling me? But it is. So, titanium. Anyway, this is a good dude. I want to help him out. Bavaria CNC. Well, we'll have to all check that out. So that's the latest on titanium. Definitely looking for a way to get that done for my buddy. It's not like it's a rush job. Unipile Shop says, you have a Haas TL1. You are correct, sir. Do you like it? I like it a lot. So the Haas TL1, now mine is a 2008. It is a good machine. So from a lathe, I'm gonna see if I get some people started here. From a lathing point of view, it's a very good machine. If you go up to the control and you dial in 2/10, you get 2/10. It's quite nice. From a stiffness point of view, the TL1 is awesome. So I like it quite a bit. So Nick says, I've tried a 4-inch solid carbide slitting saw in the mill on a similar titanium bar also. It's terrifying, he says. Yeah, it doesn't sound like something I want to do. Yeah, I'm going to check. Yeah, okay, Kennametal. I could look at Kennametal. Oh, Bavaria CNC has a fetish for slitting saws, for those who don't know. That's pretty funny. All right, I think you've kind of convinced me to go look for a parting tool. And just because I'm stuck in the mud here, I may look for the same family of this one, and then I may look for something similar but not exact, and we'll go from there. Yes, so Morgan Olaf says the TL1 is a great lathe, messy but great. Yeah, we talk about the TL1 shower, and my TL1 has I have a rain gutter underneath the front edge, and then with a downspout that goes into the coolant tank. In fact, I think the origin of my stocking the absorber material as a regular thing in the shop actually came from the TL1. I usually have a piece on the floor for the coolant. How good a friend. Water jet would be really interesting. Actually, that's another thing I could do. I might be able to use this as an excuse, because there's a water jet house that I've been wanting to connect with up north of me. Maybe that's a good excuse. So let me write some of this down. These are good ideas. Water jet. And then Henry said, check out the Sandvik Coro Cut QD. Coro Cut QD. So this one is a Coro Cut. The doesn't say QD, so I'll check it out. Unipile says we have a TL3 at work. Use it every day. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Now, when the TL1 came out, or at least let me put it a different way, when I bought it in 2008, it had the hand wheels on it, and they were positioning it. Haas was positioning it as a transition lathe from a manual guy to CNC. And that kind of works for about 15 minutes. And then you're done with the hand wheels. So I've actually removed the hand wheels on mine. Actually, the lower hand wheel is gone and is a Delrin space filler-upper. And then the top one, I removed the one for the crossfeed. I removed the knob on the crossfeed, but it's still there. But I never operate it manually. So those days are over. And I have the what's the name of this company? Hang on. Yes, of course, Dorian. So I have the Dorian tool holders, the VC35, the V35TC, solid as a rock. Totally love it. Nobody mentioned wire EDM, and there's a place in California I know that just spooled up that has a wire EDM. I may be getting a quote from them. You know who I'm talking about, don't you? We'll see. That's a really good idea. Wire EDM is a good idea. Water jet is a good idea. I will make a note here to contact that new wire EDM shop. Excellent, excellent ideas. Spooled up. Stop. Okay. So that's the story on sawing titanium. And now we have to talk about the 800-pound elephant in the room. And that is, I posted a picture earlier of switching over from my diamond wheel to my 5SG wheel so that I could do some grinding on the cast iron. And Dan saw my little video when I took out my I took out my 4-inch PFG stone and I stoned the spindle. Now I will admit it was a little reckless stoning it with one hand because I was holding the camera and I was literally like this and I was stoning it with one hand. But in general, except for that bit of silliness, there's no reason you can't kiss your spindle taper in the grinder. There's no reason you can't do that with a PFG stone. If you do it with a regular stone, a non-PFG stone, I will have nothing to do with it. But a PFG stone, no problem. Also, keep in mind that you're not gronking on it. You're not putting a ton of pressure on it. And it really is flat. So you could feel, what happened was I pulled off the wheel and then I felt the spindle. I inspected the spindle with my sensors here, and I actually felt a little something on the spindle. And I believe it might have been a tiny bit of schmutz or corrosion. If you look at a taper in an adapter, there's really two contact bands. And I believe this was in between the contact bands. I'm not sure what it was, but I didn't like it. So I wiped it with a towel and a little solvent, and it was still there. So I got out my stones. And of course, you take your stones out, you do the normal conditioning move, and then you get in there, and I would have preferred to have both hands, and then you just kiss it. And the other thing you do is you move it, right? So you move it a little bit. You don't keep it still. And that's it. You're done. It's about 5 seconds, and you've cleaned the spindle taper. Yeah, Dan says, yeah, I don't think it was anything that got pressed into the taper. I didn't make a science experiment out of it, but it cleaned up. And he correctly says, people might get a little carried away. I agree, all surfaces can be touched a little. So here's Dan's concern. Dan's concern is that when you take a PFG stone, right, here's a curved surface, and you put the, okay, and you apply the PFG stone to a curved surface, you have line contact, okay? Yes, okay, we're reading each other's minds here, Dan. So you have a line contact. This is significantly different than if you have a planar contact. So when I do this, my pounds per square inch is a calculable value, right? And then as soon as I go to a line contact, what happens to my pounds per square inch? It skyrockets. And this is what Dan's worried about. He's right to be worried. And that's why you have to do it sensibly. You're just doing a little bit of contact. You don't have to do much. And I also turned my RPM down to about 1200 to do the job, and just keep a little motion and you're done. So this is another one of those cases where the skilled operator is performing a skilled skilled procedure. This is not a mindless, operation. So Dan is correct in raising the flag, the caution flag, right? Dan put up the caution flag. So you just have to. It's the same thing. I thought about this. Hey, Tibor, welcome aboard. It's the same thing as using compressed air around a grinder. You hear about all these warnings. Never use compressed air around a grinder. No, just don't be an idiot. Don't blow stuff into the ways. Don't blow stuff into the spindle, which is really a huge problem. Same thing here. If you're going to use it on a curved surface, just keep in mind I have line contact, okay, and I cannot go crazy here. And if there was a pound of pressure on there, that's about it. And again, 5 seconds and you're done. Okay, so don't panic, but don't do it in an unskilled, uncontrolled fashion. Dan, did I talk you down off the tower? Don't let a graduate student do it. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it would be interesting. Okay, good. Whew. Dan's okay. Dan, just go over to Walker, get yourself a shake and a burger. You'll be fine. Okay, so that was the story about stoning the spindle. I'm happy to report that. So I have these two 5SG wheels from Norton. One of them is a 1/2-inch wheel, which has a history. I bought this 1/2-inch wheel, 1/2-inch wide, because I was testing some wheels for Grimsmo for his new Okamoto, and I ended up recommending the 5SG as for him. And I don't think they ever went that way. Actually, I'm not sure what they're using right now, to be honest. Yeah, Dan says, yes, exactly. I could see a student rubbing the taper contacts of tools. I feel your pain, sir. I feel your pain. So, where was I? You took me completely off track. Anyway, what was the topic? Where were we? All right. So, any topic, any questions from the peanut gallery? Any topics you guys want to handle? We're coming in on time today. Oh, the story about the wheel. So after I tested, almost says you should figure out why something showed up on the spindle. I actually think it was a dried coolant or something. I'm not super worried about it, but you're correct. So anyway, I did some testing with this 1/2-inch wheel. Then I went out and I bought a 3/4 inch wide, 8-inch diameter SG. In fact, I bought a couple of them, and I have my supplier stocking them, and it's basically becoming my standard wheel. But I'm trying to use up the small one, so that's what we're using today. Can you please show the Venturi vacuum ejector? Yeah, hang on, let me grab it. Did you miss me? So this is the box that I got. This is from a million years ago. This is from Magnalock, USA, and this was specifically set up for vacuum trucks. But I have to open it for you so you can see what's inside. So this thing is in a utility box, and I think one of the reasons they put it in a utility box was to kill the noise. So you have a 500 by 300 vacuum table. I'm really not sure, but what you know, if you have a vacuum, once you've evacuated the air to the level that it's capable of, it doesn't have any more demands. So I don't think it's super critical what size you get. Here's the guts. So we have a this is air input. We have an air pressure gauge. We have a regulator. Of course, we have a drain thingy here. We might have lost our YouTube connection. I don't know why. No, it says live again. Keeping fingers crossed. I don't know how expensive, because that is so old and I didn't buy it new. I have no idea how much it costs. Sorry. Tibor, is this on Instagram Live? You've lost video? I think we might have had an outage, a brief outage here. And both YouTube and YouTube is back. Is my video back on Instagram? Okay. Sorry, guys. We had some sort of glitch, probably in internet connection. Kevin, I think the YouTube feed is back. Please confirm. Don't you love live stuff? Okay, so Unipile's good there. What about Kevin? What are you seeing on your end? Both are working now. Okay, let me just show that. I'm going to show the picture of the Venturi generator one more time, just in case that got lost. All right, so there's the Venturi generator. So once the cover is on this, you really don't do anything. And then I go out to a reserve tank and a couple of valves. Kevin says it cut right out when you held up the box. Yeah, of course. First of all, don't call me doctor. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. How is the war affecting manufacturing in the USA? Prices are high on everything. Material prices are high for raw materials. Some things that we bought from overseas are hard or impossible to get. Some of that has alleviated a little bit. But for example, one of my clients in my antenna consulting business uses a software company up in Ukraine, and that greatly affected them. So we definitely have felt it. The cheapo Venturi generator from eBay, I have no knowledge. Oh, you're asking Nick. And Henry says Venturi ejectors are from about 20 euro up to over 100 euro. You could also make your own, but having used this guy, I got to tell you, it was quiet, way quieter than I thought it was going to be, and it was effective and it was reliable. So you can actually build everything that's in here, but it was so nicely done. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging in here during that outage. So I think we covered everything. Any other questions? We'll wrap it up here. Have a great day almost. Okay, we're getting some help in the chat. Anyway, I hope everybody has an awesome day. I hope we answered a bunch of questions. If there's anything you guys want to cover in our future lives, let me know. I do have a future live coming up, which will involve a couple of experts in the field of grinding. Unipile, we don't use the S word yet. It's just like you don't wear white after Labor Day. We don't use the S word for a while. All right, Tuck, take care. All right, Vidcock, thanks for the nice feedback. All right, guys, have an awesome day. I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to finish up my grinding on my laps and get that finished, get a check mark, and then I'm going to go hang out with my kids. Nick says airvacpumps.com. airvacpumps.com. Take care, Bob Labs. See you, Kevin. And remember, be really careful if you see the OSHIT Inspector. Take care, guys. Ciao for now.